What if I told you that the most powerful commitment you can make isn't about limiting your freedom? It's about protecting it. What if true commitment meant saying yes to your biggest vision and no to anything that makes you feel smaller? Starting on the 1st of October, Juno moves into Sagittarius, and this transit is inviting us to completely redefine what commitment means to us. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Chrissy and today we are looking at Juno moving into Sagittarius. What this means, what you can expect to feel like during this transit, and also how to use this transit to your advantage. We are going to do a commitment audit to make sure that your commitments align with who you are and who you want to be and with your highest potential. We're going to talk about a commitment ritual that you can use to make your commitments all the more powerful. And we're also going to talk about how to attract relationships into your life that promote your growth towards your highest vision. So let's talk about what Juno in Sagittarius means. Juno is one of the 4 goddess asteroids. Juno represents commitment and committed relationships. Juno in ancient Roman mythology was the wife of Jupiter. The Greek equivalent was the couple of Zeus and Hera. Sagittarius, on the other hand, represents wisdom, philosophy, freedom, expansion. Those two together don't initially make for the easiest couple, just like Juno and Jupiter did not make for the easiest couple. They did not necessarily have the most smooth sailing relationship of them all. It was fraught with conflict. Jupiter, as the planetary ruler of Sagittarius in Roman mythology, or Zeus in Greek mythology, did have a tendency to have a bit of a wandering eye. He was constantly unfaithful to poor Juno. He was constantly roaming and exploring, let's say, everything the world had to offer. Throughout all of this, Juno remained committed to Jupiter. Now, still this wasn't necessarily without conflict, because she got very vengeful and very jealous of his philandering, understandably so. So their relationship was not an easy one. Yet still, it was apparent that they worked together and that they did love each other. Juno in Sagittarius embodies this uneasy marriage of energy, but there is a way to take it a step higher, and that is by taking commitment and committing to your freedom rather than to the things that limit it. And here is where this powerful paradigm shift comes in. Most of us were taught that committing things means giving things up. And that is only true up to a certain extent. True growth comes when we commit to our vision, when we commit to that which makes us grow, when we commit to that which expands our life, like the energy of Sagittarius does. So that means just saying no and giving up the things that don't contribute to that vision, that don't contribute to that higher life. Committing to something makes it easier not to get distracted, makes it easier to say no to all of the things that don't contribute to your freedom. It's not about avoiding commitment, it's about committing to the right things. And for the next 3 months, Juno is going to stay in Sagittarius until the 29th of November. At this point, she's going to move on to Capricorn, where things get a lot more serious. So for the next 3 months, we're being invited to evaluate every single commitment in our lives through this lens. Our relationship commitments, our work commitments, our friendship commitments, our life commitments, our health commitments, everything. Do they expand us? Do they contribute to our freedom? Or do they limit us? Do they make us small? So let's move on to auditing all of our commitments. Now, I want to preface this. There's going to be some questions that I invite you to ask yourself to audit your commitments, but I do want to preface this with saying that there are certain situations in life where we have made a commitment already and we may not really have an opportunity to back out of it. You know, some of us have children, some of us have sick relatives that we're looking after, some of us have committed to a job that ties us down, that there may be certain financial commitments that we're tied to. So this may not be as easy for everyone. You know, you may be auditing your life and discover that actually I desire something else right now. What you're going to do, you're not going to give away your sick relative, you're not going to give away your children. And if that is the case, if you are in a situation like that, then I invite you to consider if maybe this is a situation that you need help with. Or maybe this is a situation where you can shift at least your mindset if you are not able to directly change your physical circumstances. And I do have a lot of compassion for that because, you know, for some of us it's a bit easier, and for some of us it is a little bit more difficult, and we have to acknowledge that. Having said that, I invite you to go through each major area of your life and ask the following questions about your commitments. And I'll think of commitments in terms of the things that you do daily, the things that are kind of non-negotiables, whether you have at any point consciously committed to them or not, because sometimes we're committing to something just through our actions, and we have picked these things up, we have developed these habits that we do every day, and through that we are showing commitment to something. So there may be some things that you are doing on a day-to-day basis which show commitment that you haven't consciously chosen and may not even be consciously aware of. So have a think about those as well. For your relationships, and this can include romantic relationships, this can include close friendships, family relationships, close relationships where you're spending a lot of time with another person. Ask yourself the following questions. Does this person encourage my growth, or do they keep telling me to be realistic? Do I feel free and expansive when I'm with them and around them? And are we growing together, or are we growing apart? Or are we just stagnating? For your work or career commitments, think about, does this role that I'm doing encourage me to grow and improve? Does it offer me certain freedoms that I value, or am I just maintaining the status quo? Does this role align with my long-term vision for myself and what I want out of my work and out of my career? For your general life commitments and obligations, ask yourself, am I doing this because I want to, because it offers me a potential and a possibility of something higher and something better? Or am I doing it out of guilt, fear, shame, any kind of lower vibration, lower energy emotions? Which commitments drain me and which commitments energize me? And one of the most powerful questions, if nothing could go wrong, if failure was not an option, not a possibility, what would I commit to? Once you have had a thought about these questions, once you have had a thought about the commitments that you currently have, list them all down. Ideally, you do this on paper in a journal, but if you want to do it mentally, list all of your commitments and give them all a rating on a scale of 1 to 10 for the following 3 questions. How much does this help me grow? How well does it match my long-term vision for my life? And how energized does it make me feel? If there is a commitment on your list that scores below a 6 in all 3 of these categories, it's time for some serious reevaluation. And here's the magic of Juno in Sagittarius. Juno in Sagittarius teaches us that real commitments, the proper commitments, the true commitments, should not limit our freedom. They should expand our freedom because they make it easy to say no to anything else that is a distraction. They are supposed to free up mental energy that otherwise you are spending umming and ahhing over what you should do, how you should spend your time, whether this is the right thing for you or whether that is the right thing for you, and eventually just procrastinating and spending a lot of time wasted distracting yourself. When you're committed to the things that matter, it makes it easy to choose what you're going to do because you are committed. You just do without thinking. Save that mental energy, save that mental capacity for thinking about the things that matter and not having to make decisions over and over every single day that you have already made. To summarize, Here are some red flags and some green flags with which to look at your commitments. Commitment red flags. Commitments that make you feel smaller, that discourage your ambition. Commitments that encourage you to hide away parts of yourself, to be inauthentic. Commitments that discourage any kind of growth, learning, or expansion. Commitments that are based on fear, obligation, or guilt. Or commitments that make you focus more on what you cannot do rather than what you can do. Some commitment green lights are commitments that challenge you a little bit. Not so much that you become overwhelmed, but enough that it helps you grow, that it helps you overcome your barriers and your limitation. Commitments that encourage you to be authentic, to be less scared of presenting your truest, most wonderful self to the world. Commitments that support your long-term vision. Commitments that make you feel excited and lit up. And commitments that open doors, even if it's not in the short term, but rather in the long term, rather than close doors in front of you. Now, if you are committed to your commitment, let's seal this in with a practical ritual. For this ritual, you're going to need some paper, something where you can safely burn a piece of paper, whether that's an ashtray, a fireplace, or a fireproof bowl, a nice pen to make this a little bit more special, and a bit of quiet time, quiet space, so that you can truly go within and connect with yourself and with your own inner thought processes. First step is going to be, we're going to write down all of the commitments that you are ready to let go of. These should be commitments that keep you stuck, that keep you in your comfort zone, that keep you playing small, that prevent you from growing, that you are doing out of obligation, out of fear, because you think you should, because someone told you you should, and you just believe them without questioning it. Or any commitments that, when you think about it, really are just a distraction from that which you should be focusing on, and that you want to be focusing on, more importantly. For example, you could write down, I release my commitment to playing small just to make other people comfortable. I release my commitment to starting the day scrolling social media for half an hour in bed every day. I release my commitment to relationships that make me play a character rather than being truly myself. And now on another piece of paper, we are writing down the things that you are committing to. And for this, I want you to just close your eyes for a couple of minutes and really go deep within. And visualize yourself in 5 years' time. Visualize the kind of person you are and the kind of life that, if there's no obstacle, if nothing is impossible, this is who you are and how you live your life. And try not to limit yourself just to the things you have. It's okay to think about material things and the things you have, but also consider about why you want to have those things. What are you expecting them to make you feel? What does having them say about who you are as a person? What kind of lifestyle do these things enable you to have? Because we want to get a really fully fledged picture, because oftentimes it's not just the material things. We are actually hoping to get a certain emotion, a certain feeling, a certain identity from things. And that's what we're trying to get at here. So think also about the kind of relationships that you are attracting, the kind of people that you hang around with, but not just what you get from them, also what you give to them. Think about what you are known for. Think about the impact that you're making on the world. Think about the possibilities that you have in this 5-year vision. Think about how much you have grown and where you are growing further from there, what you are excited about in your day-to-day life. So this could be something like, I commit to trusting my intuition, even when it leads me away from the established conventional path. Or I commit to work that feels like play because it's so much fun and it is so perfectly aligned with what lights me up and with my purpose. And then we're going to make a ceremonial exchange, just like there is always an exchange in every partnership. First, you're going to read out loud the things that you are no longer willing to commit to. As you're speaking them, just feel them drop out of your body, release out of your body. They are no longer a part of your life. And to symbolize that, once you're done reading them out loud, you're going to put them in your fireproof container and burn them, safely of course. Watch as they go up in flames, go up into ashes, and are no longer weighing you down. Then you're going to read out loud the things that you are committing to. And notice how saying them out loud into the world, notice how expansive you feel about that. Notice the sense of freedom that comes from that. Notice the sense of excitement that comes from committing to these goals. Once you've read them out loud, again, you've made them manifest, you've written them down, you've turned them into a physical object, you've spoken them out loud, you've made them into physical sound. Now you're going to date that, you're going to sign it, make it official, and then you put that second list somewhere where you're going to keep coming across it, keep finding it. For example, in your journal, in a planner, in a seasonal bag that you wear, in somewhere where you're just going to come across it naturally without having to search for it, basically, so that you can just keep opening up from time to time and reminding yourself of this commitment. And now that we've made this contract, let's turn it into practical action. Otherwise, it's just a wish. This is something that we want to make and create in our lives. So, straight away, starting now, this week, commit to stopping one thing from the list that you have burned. Commit to starting just one thing from the new contract that you've signed. Start with just one because you don't want to overwhelm yourself too much, and just notice how good it feels to start there. And then you can add and you can build upon that. Commitment is not just about one initial big push and then forgetting all about it and getting burnt out. Commitment is about doing things regularly, showing up for the person or for the thing over and over and over, even if, and arguably especially, when it gets difficult. Now let's talk about how you're going to attract your growth tribe. Because here's the thing, when you commit to that which matters to you, when you are unapologetic about that, that's when you start attracting people into your life who vibe on the same level, who do the same thing. And these are the kind of people who are going to inspire you even more to go after that which you're committed to. We are looking for people who have their own big vision, who you can get inspiration from, and who are also likewise inspired by you through their action. We are looking for people who cheer each other on, cheer on each other's individuality and each other's commitment and each other's growth, rather than criticize or try and keep you small. The best, most powerful, most healthy, most soul-nourishing relationships, whether these are romantic relationships or business partnerships or any other close relationships, are those where you are both happy to be fully formed, multifaceted individuals who work perfectly on their own and perfectly together as a team. And to facilitate that, you want to be able to have open conversations about a few of these questions. For romantic relationships, some of these questions would be, what adventures do we want to have together? Are we aligned about the kind of adventures that we want to have? And are we open to exploring each other's ideas about what the other person wants and what the other person is hoping to experience together? Another question that you really want to have an honest conversation about is, how can we support each other to grow to this ideal higher version of ourselves? What would our relationship look like if we designed it from scratch? What's missing? Does something need to be removed? For any business collaboration, before you enter into a business partnership with somebody, number one question to have a chat with them about is, do our long-term visions align? Because if they don't, then that's maybe a temporary collaboration that you can work with, but it's not a long-term commitment that you want to be making. Otherwise, you're going to have so many problems down the line. Ask, does this partnership expand both of our visions? Are we able to add detail and add color and add to our individual visions when we work together? Does this collaboration encourage you both to grow individually and as a team? And are you both bringing your real authentic strengths to this partnership and this collaboration? The most powerful partnerships happen when two people with strong individual visions find a way to mutually support each other in achieving this vision. If they are genuinely excited and love hearing you talk about your goals, if they make you feel more courageous and more confident about yourself when you're talking about your goals, if they are not afraid to challenge you, but in a way that brings out the very best parts of you, and if you feel like you can really be your most authentic, truest self around them without getting judged and without having to hide parts of yourself out of fear of offending them. Now, the question, of course, is, that's all great. Where do you find those kind of people? There are a few ways of going about that. Join any groups that are aligned with your interests and with your values, whether that's in person, ideally, or even just online. But avoid those that you are just joining out of convenience because they've been there, because they are local to you, because your friend is part of a group, so you're part of a group, but really those people are not your tribe. Avoid those, join those where your values truly align. Find mentors, find teachers who are where you want to be, who already embody that long-term vision of yours in their own particular way, but in a way that excites you and lights you up. Be the person who starts conversations about your dreams, about your growth. And the key in that is that you have to be unapologetically authentic about what you truly dream and wish for. So many of us are afraid of admitting what it is they want, not only to ourselves, but out loud to other people, because we feel like it's something that is silly. We feel that it's something that could never happen. Practice speaking about these things. Practice being authentic and unapologetic about these things, and practice bringing them up around other people, and you will be surprised how encouraging that can be to other people when they see someone who is genuinely excited about what they are hoping to achieve. And in order to have the space and the time for that, you will need to start saying no to any social obligations that don't align with that don't align with your higher vision of yourself, and that don't align with your goals. And remember, this isn't about becoming some kind of commitment phobic person who can't stick to anything. It's about committing to your freedom, to your growth, to your learning, to your expansion so much that everything that doesn't fit the picture naturally falls away. When you are truly committed to your freedom and to your growth, and you're showing this through your actions and your words, your partnerships and your obligations will start to reflect that sooner or later. We are all getting a 3-month window to design our life around expansion rather than limitation. So let's not waste it, and let's make the most of that by letting go of commitments that hinder us and make us small. And if this approach resonated with you, then make sure that you're subscribed, because every week I release a new video teaching you how to align astrological energies with intentional life design. If you'd like to go a little bit further, I do offer one-to-one consultations where we build an individualized practical toolkit for you. Or you can subscribe to my free manifestology newsletter, where I bring you manifestation tips, life design tips that are perfectly timed with current astrological transits, so that you can fully tap into the energy that we are all experiencing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.